Okay, wonderful. So you've got all your supplies, your tennis balls in the bag, and then just start lying on your back and bringing shoulders down away from ears. Beautiful. Soften jaw. Soften face. Take tongue down from the roof of your mouth. We'll begin a breathing practice, your own pace, your own time. Go ahead and exhale fully. And when you're ready, inhale and fill the belly with air. Then fill the chest. Then fill up to the collarbones. And then exhale, fully let that all out and let yourself play with that. Like, we're not here to perfect that right away. Breath is not as easy as I once thought. Inhale, fill belly, then chest, then collarbones. Exhale, fully let that air out. And go ahead and do that one more time. Inhale, filling belly, chest, collarbones, whatever that means to you. And then exhale, fully let that air out. Beautiful. If you have tennis balls in a bag and a block, we're gonna go ahead, lie your block down like the smallest setting, or a book, or you can do this without the block. You can do this just on the ground. Grab your 2 tennis balls and you are going to put them right at the base of your skull. And you'll just play around. It should feel okay. Shouldn't hurt too bad. But just set them there, and you can set them on the block, or you can do this on the ground. Either way, you'll feel something. Being in a sock or a bag kind of helps them stay in place. You may have to use your hands to hold them there. But just go ahead, play around with that. If you have your hands to hold them there, just play around with bringing elbows like out toward the sides a little bit instead of having shoulders hunched up by ears. And then if they're okay, you don't need arms, bring arms nice and wide out. Take a little breath here. And just release. Option to play around with just little tiny movements of the head. So maybe the chin moves toward chest and then up a little. Like, it should feel okay. It should not bring tears to your eyes, but just play around with a tiny gentle massage. It may feel like you're barely moving. And then find a spot, pause, exhale fully. And maybe play around with breath again. Inhaling, filling belly, chest, maybe collarbones. Maybe it's harder when you're like this, and maybe it's only belly. Just explore with big breaths and exhale fully. Sometimes just paying attention to our breath while we're doing things, instead of feeling like we have to be trying harder or pressing harder, can give us amazing results. Awesome. Go ahead, maybe move chin side to side a little if that feels okay. If you find a spot where you're like, ooh, that feels good, stay there and breathe. Wonderful. From here, we're going to bring down onto our neck a little bit. And again, this should feel okay. If it doesn't, then just come to lying on your back. So down on your neck a little bit. This is easier if you have a book or a block. Otherwise, you can still, if you don't have a book or a block, go down to your shoulders. If you have a book or a block, you can go on to your neck right here. Option, like if you have to hold them in there, go ahead. If you have the sock, you can bring arms out to your side, and if they're staying. And first, just on neck, down a little further here from the base of your skull. Breathe. Just kind of release tension here. Exhale fully. And then nice big inhale. Notice your jaw. Notice, is there anywhere else where you're bringing in tension? Awesome. And then go ahead and play here with bringing chin up a little, down a little, just creating that movement. And noticing if there's spots where you feel like, ooh, feels like something is happening there. Feel free to stay there. And just make sure you continue breathing. Notice if you're like curling your toes or tensing up, then option 2, find a spot where it doesn't feel so like you have so much tension there. We don't have to be right on the spots that are causing problems. We can be next to them. Then I like to kind of do a little diagonal. So maybe kind of bring my chin out to the side a little and down and up there, if that feels okay. Or maybe just out to the side and hold there. Like play around with finding spots. And then come back to your breath. Exhale fully. And take a nice big inhale. And just play around here. You can even maybe bring, like look over to this side a little bit, like play around with what feels okay. Our scalenes in here can get really, really tight from stress and tension. I have TMJ, so my scalenes from shoulders up to my neck, and then like whatever tendons come to my jaw can feel really tight. And this can be amazing for releasing it, but there can also be a lot going on. And then go ahead, bring chin to the other side and play around on that other side, noticing maybe bringing chin up and down there, noticing what's going on that side. And remembering to breathe. Exhale fully. Nice big inhale. The breath makes a huge, huge difference. Awesome. Again, finding any spots, feel free to move there. You can look over to the side, just play around. If you come on a spot where you're like, oh no, just back off, find another spot around it. And then when you're ready, we can move down even a little lower. So if you have the block or a book, you can move down, kind of top of your shoulders, just play around with what works. Sometimes, you know, it goes in certain places and it doesn't, but this can be nice for like putting that natural arch back in our neck. You know, we're looking down, reading books, at phones, computers, whatever. So just putting this natural arch back in. Maybe here looking up and up toward the ceiling a little more. Maybe even behind you a tiny bit. I don't want to say like we're not exaggerating, not way behind us, but maybe your eyes go there a little bit, like where you're seeing top of a wall behind you or something, and just play around with that. You can find some stillness. Exhale fully. Nice big inhale. And you can play around here too with just little movements, bringing chin gently toward one side or the other. You might feel like, wow, there's a lot more going on when I do that. I sure do. If you're on the ground and you had them on top of your shoulders, you can move them down a little. Just find a new spot, play around. Don't worry, like just listen to your body. If it really feels like, oh my gosh, this isn't good, then don't do it. And remember your breath. Exhale fully. Nice big inhale. No judgment. If you're like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on in here. What am I doing? I'm not taking care of myself. Like, no, let that go. And we're exploring taking care of ourselves now. I'll do one more breath here. Checking in, are you bringing tension anywhere? And then when you're ready, go ahead, set those tennis balls aside. If you have a book or a block, set that aside. Arms nice and wide out at your side. Oh. Maybe move head back and forth, like shake your head no slowly and just notice anything you've created in your neck here. Awesome. And go ahead and lift up your butt here. So have feet to the mat, knees in the air. Lift up your butt a little and shift it to the left. Drop it down. So just scoot it over to the left a little bit. And then gently drop knees to the right. Little twist here. Awesome. Option, if it feels okay, bring your gaze over the opposite direction of your knees. If that doesn't feel okay, bring your gaze back. And breathe here, a nice, big, deep breath, stretching that side body. Wonderful. On an inhale, bring knees back to center and shift hips back to center. And then go ahead and shift your hips over to the right. Gently drop your knees to the left this time. And breathe here. If it felt good turning your head the opposite direction of your knees, go ahead and try that. If not, no worries. Breathe here. On an inhale, bring knees back up to center. Shift hips back to center, hug knees in, and massage your low back. So rock, yeah. You can do side to side, back and forth. You can make your knees go in separate circles like a figure eight. Just play around with what feels good. Wonderful. Yeah. And extend the legs out long, heels to the mat, toes up toward the ceiling. Inhale, reach arms up and point with your heels. Stretch heels. Yeah, maybe you feel that in your calves a little bit. And then exhale, relax. Inhale, stretch again, pointing heels. Exhale, relax. And one more time, inhale, point the heels, stretch arms up above, shoulders down away from ears. Exhale, relax. Hug knees into your body once more. And then option to massage your whole spine and rock back and forth until you rock up to seated, or just roll onto your side and come up to seated. Whatever feels good to you today. Beautiful. Oh. Notice your neck. Maybe your head feels a little lighter. Beautiful. Go ahead and cross arms. So bring right hand over to left shoulder, left hand over to right shoulder. And they don't have to be on top of the shoulders. Bring them down a little bit so shoulders can be down. And find your collarbones. Touch collarbones a little bit and gently pull down on those collarbones. Just like, it's not even pulling, just this tiny like movement of bringing down. And then bring right ear toward right shoulder. And you can play around with like moving chin here, just play around with finding spot where you need the stretch, maybe back a little, just play around. And breathe, exhale fully. Inhale, fill belly with air. When it feels right, move over to the other side, just gently, slowly. Option to move chin around or just find a spot where it feels good and tune into your breath. And then slowly come back up to center. Bring arms down here. Inhale, reach arms out towards your sides. Shoulders down, chest forward a little bit, but not arching from the low back. So play around with that idea. Exhale, reach them out in front of you. Round your back like it's pulling behind you and give yourself a gentle hug. Bring elbows away from your body. Mid-back pulls away from you a little bit. Inhale, open up. Chest forward a little bit, shoulders down. Exhale, give yourself a hug again. Maybe opposite arm goes on the bottom this time. Pull shoulders away from, or elbows away from your body. Back arches behind you. One more time. Inhale, open up. Your own breath, your own time. We are not here to be synchronized. Exhale, give that little hug. Arch the back. Awesome. Inhale, sweep arms down. Yes, wonderful. Here, grab the tennis ball out of a sock, or if it's easier, you want to hold the sock, you can. We are going to take a tennis ball and just kind of rub it on the base of our collarbone, around the chest here. And you can play around. Sometimes moving your neck a certain way can get into some things a little bit or not. If you have a yoga block or a book and you want to use that to hold the ball and move around so your hand doesn't have to do all the work, you can. If you do have your hand, you can open it up so you can massage your hand at the same time that you're massaging the chest here. And if you're like me, you're like, what? I didn't even know that this was a tight spot in my body. But yeah, we're hunched over. We're all dealing with a lot of stress, and our body naturally does this hunching over to kind of protect us, and that puts us in, you know, a little bit of like fight or flight, and our front body gets tight. So remember to breathe here again. Just slowly notice. Also, this is amazing for our immune system, our lymphatic system. You want to, when you're doing lymphatic stuff, it's not, I go both directions here a little bit, but you kind of want to roll the direction of your heart. That's where our lymphatic system clears. And if you are like somebody with way more knowledge than me of this stuff, you can correct me. I do know toward the heart. I don't know exactly how the lymphatic system all works, but I know it's important and this is helpful. When you're ready, you can go ahead and switch to the other side. Yeah. Notice if you want to pause on a spot, like, oh, I've got a spot on this side that is definitely talking to me. You can pause there and breathe. And you may notice like one side is got a lot more going on than the other side. Taking some breaths here. Last week we did a little in the hips. We'll do a little more today because I feel like it's also related to that hunching over. Our hip flexors, our psoas can get tight. Yes. Awesome. Can bring that down. Shoulders down, sit nice and tall. Maybe move the head a little again and just notice. Notice any differences, any more spots that need a little attention. Maybe you have a little more mobility. And then here we'll take that same tennis ball and you can put right hip down or whatever one makes sense. Put it down, put that ball under there. You don't want to be like directly on like your hip bone. So down, find a little meaty part. Still can be by bone, but a little meaty part. And you get to play around with intensity. This can be so intense. So kind of play around with how far down you want to come. You can lift your weight up a little bit. Like I've got this, I'm on my right side. I got my left knee bent and that foot is kind of like lifting me so I don't have to put all my weight on it. And you can roll around. You can find a spot. Exhale fully. Yeah, anyone else's hips just screaming? Oh, mine have a lot going on lately. So you get to choose your intensity. Again, we don't want to be where we're super tense. Wonderful. But play around. You can go near a spot that is kind of talking to you and still get the job done. I promise you. Wonderful. When you're ready, you can move on to the other side. Or if you're like, hey, this is what's great about a home practice. If you're like, I'm getting into some good stuff, I'm not ready to switch. Don't. You'll be fine. Oh, I'm gonna play around here. Never knew that your hip butt area could have so much going on, right? Remember to breathe. This is the part where I really forget to breathe because it is, like I said, it is an area for me that is pretty intense. So just remember to breathe. And when you find yourself like, oh my gosh, I don't know, just exhale fully and your body will naturally inhale. So often when we think of breathing, we think like, oh my gosh, I have to inhale. No, exhale, let it all out, and your body will be like, hey, I need some oxygen here. It's funny when I teach this class in person and like people are dead silent and the looks on their faces, I'm like, I can't tell if they're happy we're doing this or not. It's like that hurts so good, right? But like it shouldn't feel like a sharp pain. It shouldn't feel like, oh my gosh, my body can't relax. It wants to just squeeze and tense everything up. Awesome. Can finish this side up here. You can grab both tennis balls again, and it is up to you if you want them in the sock still or not. You can play around. It kind of depends on how big your sock is. But we're going to come back to lying on our backs. This time goes so fast. And you can put them right underneath tops of your shoulders. So not on our neck anymore, but tops of our shoulders here. If you're like, I did that already before and I don't want to anymore, you can put them in another spot. As long as they're not right on your spine, they're okay on your back. So you can find another spot. Put them here. You can play around if you want legs extended long or knees bent, or you can put a pillow under your knees if that feels good. I always say if you're at home and you want to like put your legs up on the wall or bend them over the couch, put them up on the couch, feel free to do that. It is actually super relaxing and nice for our bodies. Take a couple breaths here. And then you can remove those. And come down to lying on your back. Another option is if you have a yoga block, you can put it underneath the top of your butt and you can keep it like this, or you can put legs up toward the ceiling if you're not by the couch or the wall and you want to do that. If that feels okay, you can have legs up. If that does not feel like what you want to do today, just come down to lying on back, arms out to your side. Just play around, find something that's comfortable to you. Take some breaths here, exhaling fully. Inhaling. Listen to your body. So when your feet, legs get tired, bring them down. That is a-okay. We're going to come back to a little bit of awareness of our body and our breath. So again, play around with that inhale of inhaling, filling your belly, filling your chest, filling your collarbones, and exhale fully. And just play around with those full, deep inhales that come to this chest area, come to these collarbones. Create space, opening up this front body, fighting that stress and that fight or flight feeling, and exhaling fully. Knowing that you can come back to this breath anytime during the day that you need it. And a key to being able to access it when you need it is to practice it regularly when you don't need it. So times like this, we're practicing this not to be perfect in our practice right now, but to help us when we're living life to access this peace that we can create in our bodies, this ease, finding things a little easier, a little less stressed. And you can begin to lengthen inhales and exhales here. Bring tiny little wiggles of movement to your fingers and your toes. And slowly turn your head from one side to the other. On an inhale, reach arms up above and give yourself a nice big long body stretch. Maybe even one arm reaches a little further and then the other. Just play around with stretching in a way your body needs it. On an exhale, hug knees into your body. You choose, give them a little hug or rock a little. And then go ahead and roll on to the side of your choice. We'll take a couple breaths here. And you can slowly make your way up to seated, your own time, your own pace. When you are here, sit nice and tall. Feel like a little string is pulling from top of your head to the ceiling. Relax, shoulders down. Soften jaw, soften face. Inhale, reach arms up. palms together. Exhale, thumbs to your heart. Pause here and think of one thing you are grateful for today. Bring a smile to your face. And thank you so much for practicing with me today. Thank you.